Why are you bothering me?
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Even though the sky is cloudy and it looks like it's going to rain, well, the weatherman says it's not supposed to rain at all today. So unlike last week, I'm going to use my outside propane melting furnace. For today's metal melt, I'm going to cast a few different things. I have this and I have one more. You saw it in the thumbnail. I made these out of foam. It's a cat that says, "You are freaking me out." I made these coins a couple weeks back. I'm going to make one more of them today out of aluminum. They turn out really good. And for the last cast, which I made last week, I'm going to make another one of these. I really like how this one came out, but today I'm going to try to cast it using a smaller casting flask. So if you guys are new to my channel, this is called lost foam casting. I do this method quite often. You take a piece of foam and you basically just bury it in dry sand. When I do lost foam casting, I always coat the foam. I coat the foam with wall plaster, better known as drywall mud. The reason for this coating is it gives it a better surface finish. Without it, the surface finish of the foam would be all grainy because of the sand surrounding the foam. The wall plaster basically just gives it a barrier between the sand and the foam. When you're finished filling your container with sand, make sure you add a pouring cup on the top. This is where you're going to pour the molten metal. For the other two pieces I want to cast, I'm using greensand foundry sand. I made an imprint in my casting flask using both of these as the patterns. Now that I'm all finished up, I'm going to head outside and light the furnace. I always like to add cardboard in between the block and the crucible. It does help prevent the crucible from sticking to the block, but not always. For today's cast, I'm going to be melting down 2 ingots that I made out of beach chairs. I melted down the beach chairs a few weeks ago. If you haven't seen that video, after you finish this one, definitely check that video out. I'll leave a link to that in the description below.
Come on, man. You're really starting to freak me out.
Before adding more metal to the hot crucible, it's always good to warm it up beforehand. Some of you might be wondering why I have a pair of vice grips holding on to this spoon. Well, that's because I need a longer spoon, but I like the small size of the head of the spoon. So that's what I did. Now here I am just removing a little bit of slag from the top of the good aluminum. This is probably just oxidation. While I let that cast cool down, I'm going to add more aluminum to the crucible for the next cast. Like I said before, it's always good to heat the aluminum beforehand. You don't want to put cold aluminum in a hot crucible. I still have aluminum left over in the crucible, so now I'm just going to pour the remainder into a ingot mold.
All right, boys and girls, let's see how it came out.
You're really starting to freak me out.
Well, it didn't rain, and I don't think it's going to, but it sure is cloudy. So I think both of the greensand mold castings came out really good. The only thing is this one, right on the top, there was like an indentation. It inverted in. I guess it was a little bit of shrinkage on the aluminum casting. It probably would be better to cast this horizontally. Now that I have these removed, I'm going to just put them in the vise, cut off the vent, cut off the screw, and file down the edges to make it look nice. I just want to take a second to show you the difference when you coat it with plaster and when you don't. I did not coat the sprue, and you can see how bumpy and rough it is. I did coat the pattern, and you can see how smooth the pattern is. So I would suggest always coating it with plaster, or drywall mud, as some call it. Alright everyone, here is the final cast of the day. My 2 little ingots that I'll remount in the future, and these nice little "you're freaking me out" plaques I have here. This one I put the HM, the other one I didn't. I actually made this one second. I don't know why I didn't decide to do that in the first one, but I decided to do it in the second one. Now here is another coin of mine, Heinrich's made. I have probably 5 of them made so far, and this nice little ghost. Now because I had the indentation in the top, I really tried to give the ghost a really good polish to try to offset it from the outside. And I think by doing that, it really makes it look nice. Thank you so much for watching today's video.